Morena councillors and staff. Hopefully you've had a good long weekend and the previous wonderful Easter weekend prior to that. So good to see you all charged and ready to go for this morning's meeting. I'd like to hand over to Councillor Dow for his words of wisdom and reflection. Councillor.
Good morning, everyone. A couple of brief phrases that I've researched that I thought was a little bit point. The first one is discussions are always better than arguments, because an argument is to find out who is right and a discussion is to find out what is right. And the other one was, when it is obvious that the goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goal, adjust the action steps. So, my words of wisdom for today.
Awesome. Thank you, Councillor, especially like the first one in light of all the stuff that's going on around New Zealand at the moment, to have a sit down and have a healthy discussion as opposed to fighting it. Very cool. I don't believe there's any late items on today's agenda. Moving on to confirmation of the order of the meeting. All good there. No direct. Any councillors have to declare any conflict of interest in today's meeting? No. If not, moving on to a public forum. The RDA is presenting this morning, Riding for Disabled. So I imagine they'll be invited in sometime very soon. Kia ora and good morning to you both. If you'd like to just introduce yourselves and then make your presentation, all I can say with whatever you're presenting to us today, because none of us have any idea at this point, that it's just a presentation. There'll be no answers or there'll be questions, of course, but no decisions will be made in this morning's meeting. So if you'd introduce yourself, that would be great. Thank you. And you can, if you're comfortable, you can remove your masks. That's up to you. There's no. Just pull it closer to you, it'd be great. Just pull the mic over. Yeah.
So can you hear me?
A bit closer.
Can you hear me?
I've got you now.
Thank you for the opportunity to allow us to speak today at this forum. So my name is Christine Purdy. I'm the president of Ōtorohanga RDA, and we use the term RDA, Riding for the Disabled, in case any of you are unaware. And this is Gwen Buckley, and she's our paid coach and equine manager. And there may be some colleagues that try and join us online as well. But first of all, I want to start by asking if you've all done your Wordle this morning. I'm partway through.
No, so please don't tell us the answer.
I'm partway through, so don't tell me the answer. Anyway, RDA has served the King Country for over 40 years. We operate from a shed at the Island Reserve in Ōtorohanga and utilise horse stalls adapted from cattle pavilions built in 1965. And these are now in quite a poor state of infrastructure. We have a core group of approximately 20 dedicated volunteers, ranging in age between 15 years to those in their 70s. Plus 2 contractor positions, which I mentioned earlier, Gwen being our equine manager and coach. The structured program we offer operates 2 mornings a week, tailored to meet the needs of a diverse group of children and adults to a maximum of 40 riders. Our hours are from 8:30 until 12:30 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, each day incorporating 4 45-minute sessions within a 4-hour time frame. We operate over the summer months with our horses being turned out over winter. Ōtorohanga RDA is independently financed and managed with the NZRDA, that's New Zealand RDA obviously, acting as an umbrella organisation providing standards, training, certification and support. Our goal and that of NZRDA is to reach more riders, and the following is how we strive to achieve this. So we would like to secure our position at the Island Reserve, continue the service we provide by utilising the land and facilities at the reserve more effectively. We want to improve our facilities so we can operate rain or shine and in a safe environment conducive to the needs and welfare of our horses and volunteers. This amounts to an arena with additional capacity to encompass at least 8 stores and a covered arena, a tech shed, hay storage, a meeting room, office, kitchenette, toilet, change room, or part thereof. We would like a commitment from council for long-term use of the grassed area by the polo cross pens so we can move forward with our building plans as described. It would appear that we need to continue to wait until the development of the town concept plan, which is in progress and being worked on, I believe with draft expected sort of end of this year at some point. We would like to express our interest to sole lease the referee rooms once a final lease policy is adopted. And if this is not possible, then develop a shared equine facility that accommodates what the referee rooms may have been able to offer. We are community minded, and as such, all our requests are for the community we serve. And I'm going to hand over to Gwen now, but I'd like to share a story written by one of our riders' parents.
Morning, everyone. It's my privilege and honour to be the paid person at Ōtorohanga RDA. And yeah, this is a pretty cool story. In 2016, we were at a loss of how to support our girl Brianna, aged 9. We felt like failures as parents and didn't know what to do. After years of hell as a family trying to support her with meltdowns, anxiety attacks, depression and self-harm, and the public system failing us time after time, as parents, we were at a stage of wondering if this beautiful child would see her teenage years. But then she was diagnosed with Asperger's and generalized anxiety disorder. We had answers to why our child was the way she was. These awesome superpowers which made her so special, but we were also at a loss of how to support her into the future. In the middle of 2016, it was suggested that we take Brianna to IDA, which was run in Ōtorohanga. So in term 4, we were fortunate enough for Brianna to start. For the first half of term, Brianna would stay up the night before worrying and crying about RDA. Getting her there was a struggle as she kicked and screamed and refused to get into the car. And while she was there, she would cry and not want to participate due to her anxiety and the fact that all of this was new and out of her routine. She would not even get on the horse. The wonderful team at RDA persevered with Brianna, and slowly her confidence grew. Brianna, now aged 13, looks back at those days and smiles quietly, saying, "The horses were big and scary." Brianna still loves RDA and attends weekly in the summer. She participates fully in the activities, exceeding all our expectations. She loves going. It is the highlight of her week. She enjoys spending time with the horses and is growing more and more in confidence. Brianna even acknowledges how RDA has helped her grow, stating, "It has helped me with my anxiety and helped me grow in confidence." For a child who doesn't like talking to people, who won't open up to psychologists or psychiatrists, horses have been her escape and therapy. RDA has supported Brianna. Sorry, we find it quite emotional. In so many ways, and we're so thankful to the team of members and the horses. We're so proud of all Brianna is achieving. We can see that her confidence is,
we can see that her confidence, we can see that the confidence she is showing during her time with the horses is now moving into other parts of her life. Brianna is now a teenager. RDA supported her to get to teenagehood, something in 2016 we were so unsure about. Ōtorohanga RDA is a vital link in our community to help children who have extra needs like Brianna's. Please support them to keep supporting children so these children can live to their full potential. So that's the end of that story. And we want to invest in the future proofing of our infrastructure to provide a facility and service that allows us to operate to our full potential and in turn change the lives of our riders and wider whānau for the better. Thank you for taking the time to listen and to really hear about what we want to do, how we want to do it, and why we do what we do. And I'll hand over to Gwen again, who has got some hopefully not so emotional pictures just to share. part of your PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you. If we could please start our slide. I just thought it would be really cool to have a little visual of what we're working with down there and what it looks like from our perspective. Cool. Yeah, it worked. So next slide, please. Right. So this is where we're operating from at the moment, the beautiful park grounds at the Island Reserve. We have a skyline garage and we make use of a converted set of cattle stalls. Next slide, please. All our riders have individual goals and programs based on their needs. We start off with often really fully supported riders, like our little rider on the left. She's 4 and she needs a leader and 2 sidewalkers to make sure she's safe and can do her activities. And then we progress towards independence, like the rider on the right-hand side, who has just a leader. So she's grown through the system and now she's growing towards independence. This is a little rider from this term. He's had a sum total of 3, maybe 4 rides. His first ride, you can see he's hunched over, he's holding on. He did not know about getting on this big horse and he was very nervous. He braced himself for the whole ride. 3 rides later, he's now sitting up nice and tall, holding his reins in one hand, doing activities with the other, and his family are just blown away by his progress in simply 3 rides this term. Unfortunately, our venue is only suitable on dry days. You may notice some of the people, recognise some of the people in the photo on the right-hand side. So while we've done, I believe, an awesome job with what we've got, it's only good on dry weather days because there just simply isn't the space to accommodate our riders and volunteers on those days, and we can't send riders back to school with wet clothes. Next. Sometimes we improvise, so if riders get there and their ride gets cancelled, they get to do something like feeding the horses, which obviously can only do once because the horses don't need 4 feeds a day. Yeah, next. Unfortunately, our stalls are not really safe places for the children and the horses to be together. They're in fairly poor repair and they're too small to have a horse and a volunteer and a rider in there safely. So yeah, we're just asking you to help us reach more riders and change more lives like Brianna. So the story I shared with you before, this was Brianna fairly early on in her piece, where she rode bareback with assistance, and then more recently towards the end of, well, it would have been the beginning of last year because we didn't operate term 4. If we could play the learning to jump video, this is the progress she's made. So riding a super quiet, reliable, honest pony to one of our most forward horses. And here she is learning to jump. Hopefully. Oh. Sorry.
You just get a send out afterwards. Because
Go really fast. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's cool. Thank you very much. Cool. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Christine. Thanks, Gwen. I can see why that is so emotional when you see that transition in someone where they're going from such a anxious space to just having that freedom. I suppose the freedom that we all feel ourselves. Now, Christine, you are actively involved in the town concept plan in terms of contributing ideas, or is that working at the moment?
Through you, Your Worship. So I think that one of the next phases of our engagement on the town concept plan will include a group focused on recreation in the town. And so RDA will get an invite to participate in that so that we can look at the plan for the town holistically alongside all the other groups in their facilities.
Yes, so yeah, thank you for front-footing the conversation. As I said, there's no answers can be given today at all, but it's nice to hear from you both and yeah, come along and share what's going on with the RDA. Admittedly, I've only been down once or twice, I think, so it's probably time for me to come back again. Kia ora. Is there any questions from any of the councillors? Councillor Klaus.
What sort of money are you looking at?
Do you want to answer, Gwen? It would depend on the extent of the facilities and whether the referee rooms were part of that concept. But you would be sitting up, pardon? Yeah, we would undertake fundraising, so it could easily sit in the millions, to be honest, for a big arena. But it wouldn't be a facility just for RDA, it would be a facility that the town and the community use. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for your time this morning. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Brendan. Moving on to confirmation of minutes of the Ōtorohanga District Council dated 15th March 2022. Take the minutes as being read. Do I have a mover and a seconder for those minutes, please? Move Councillor Williams, second Councillor Ferguson. Any matters arising? Yes, Councillor Jeffries.
Just the one matter, Your Worship, thank you. Yeah, it was to do with, I don't see the paper page number here, item 236, which was the 6-monthly report from the Hamilton Waikato Tourism. Nadia was going to see whether the figures that were included in that report included just the township, or was it for the whole district? I just wondered whether that information had been gathered at this stage.
Yeah, Nadia is very excited to answer that question.
Was it in the governance?
Through
sorry,
you,
missed it.
yeah, through you, Your Worship. Yes, there was an update sent through the governance update. There are accommodation facilities out in Kawhia, but because there are so few throughout the district, to try and identify one against others, it would end up being too clear as to who's participating in providing that information and who's not.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Thank you.
Kia ora, thanks,
Through
Nadia.
you, Your Worship, if I can just say the governance updates, it might be worth you reading them if you're not, because any questions that come up in this forum or any of the community board forums, we will endeavour to answer back through the governance update rather than sending out a gazillion emails after meetings. So yeah, just keep your eye on them because they will have answers to some of the questions raised in these meetings.
Thank you, Tanya. No further questions? Okay, moving on to confirmation of minutes of the Ōtorohanga District Council Extraordinary Meeting dated 8th of April 2022. I'll move that they be received. Do I have a seconder? Seconder, Councillor Dow. All in favour? Carried, thank you. Receipt of minutes of the Kawhia Community Board dated 25th of March 2022. It's just receiving the unconserved minutes. Move Councillor Jeffries, seconded Councillor Williams. All in favour? Carried. Receipt of minutes of the Ōtorohanga Community Board dated 7th of April. They will receive the minutes of those. Do I have a mover and a seconder for those? Councillor Johnson, seconded Councillor Christensen. All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Right, moving on to the Mayor's, which was me, report. Very brief. This month between council meetings has been filled with my weekly catch up with the National Program Manager at MTFJ, which I do every Wednesday morning just to see what's going on around the country. I had, as I always do every month, a North King Country Development Trust meeting. We had a risk and assurance meeting. I've been involved in a few Zoom meetings on a Rangatahi Māori Emerging Leaders Mentoring Workshop, which is leaders in the public sector that are going to mentor Rangatahi Māori within the organisations. And I'm just sharing my experiences over the years of that. Obviously, we had the Anzac Day services yesterday, which I attended the dawn service for the first time with the Councillor Ferguson. And then the other two services in Ōtorohanga and Kawhia. Kawhia attendance was outstanding, as it always is, and the day out there was beautiful. And actually the attendance in Ōtorohanga was outstanding as well. I've had a meeting with fed farmers via Zoom with MTFJ, and another one with tertiary providers in the horticultural sector trying to get labour into the workforce. I don't think the feds need a bit more help in terms of getting themselves organised in that space. And when we're talking the horticulture up northern Waikato, the same thing with the absence of immigrant workers, they're really, really struggling. And they need technology to take over, but because they're so beaten by the supermarkets, there's no margin in the products they're selling. An example would be it costs $2.70 to produce a kilo of tomatoes, and they sell them to the supermarkets for $2.70. And without the labour, they can't do the picking, and without making a profit, they can't invest in technology. So it's just an absolute nightmare for them. Also, we have our Waikato Prison Development Zooms. As to what's going on out there, obviously progress in Waikato has been considerably slower than what they would have liked, and that there's due to supply chain issues and COVID losses of staff, as you can imagine. In addition, there's my regular work, other meetings, including farm operations, extraordinary meetings and community board meetings. So yeah, just a ordinary month of oil accounts. So I'd just like to move that my report be received. The second, Councillor Jeffries. Is there any questions on what I've been up to? Nope. Cool. Moving on to item 245, the monthly financial and capital projects report. Don't know whether Mark or Brendan's leading that. I'm sure they'll both be contributing. Handing over to you guys.
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess I'll start off since the financial bit's at the start and the capital's at the end, so Mark can close it out. In terms of the financial report, just some of the highlights there. So we've got net surplus at the end of, I said February there, I didn't change it to March, sorry. End of March of $2.7 million against a budget of 5.1. So our subsidy grants is down, just again due to the timing of claims on Waikatahi subsidy. We've just received yesterday or over the weekend about 800,000 on top of that to go into this to the end of March because of a lot of the work that was done during March. Depreciation's up due to the revaluation of the land and buildings we did last year. Employee benefit expenses down, as it has been for most of the year. Other income, so the flood protection income from Waikato Regional, so we only invoice that once a year towards the end of June. So Mark and I were talking about that last week, so we get that organised for June, which we normally do it. And the invoicing of building consents for Waikato, that's just a timing issue as to when various amendments and consents are coming through. In terms of the balance sheet over the page, or the statement of financial position, so we're in a healthy position there. Total current assets of 6 million, total current liabilities of 1.2, which gives us a working capital of 4.7. And then the combined cost of service statement over the page just shows by groups of activities. So you can see there our expenditures down, income's down as well. In terms of capital, renewals were about half of budget, just under. Growth, we only spent about 17 or 18,000 there. And level of service improvements is about 840,000 against the budget of 2.4. A lot of that's timing related. Yeah, and I guess that's it. unless there's some questions about anything specific.
Thank you, Brendan. Any questions, councillors? Yes, councillor Plus.
It's not a question. It's some absolute praise. Receiving these accounts in this way so far reaches beyond believability that we were getting 9 years ago, when it was unbelievable. And yes, you were there having to deal with it, and so congratulations, well done, and it is. You should be very proud of yourselves, actually.
Thank you. Yes, it's been a team effort. It wasn't just me, obviously. Everyone's
Well,
been
I know
involved.
that's how it is, but at the same time, I think if we told people what was happening 9 years ago, they'd be laughed out of it.
Paid for every 3 months, yeah.
Hey, thanks for those words, councillor. You had a big part to play in the change, so thank you.
Well, it was such a shock coming into something like that.
Any further questions, councillors?
Can I ask some questions about the water?
Yeah, I haven't actually delivered my part of the report.
Well, it's here. Well, do you want me to leave it?
No, no.
Well, it's Kahoraka. You're reducing the scope.
Correct.
What's going to be the effect of that?
So we're looking at basic upgrades of the telemetry and sort of the smarts at the Kahoraka plant. Plus, we're going to be doing an upgrade to the filtration at the school. So those are the only sort of 2 projects we're going to achieve there.
That's good that you focused on the school. Thank you. Now, I have a question. Are you having committee meetings? Water
Yes, next week.
Next week?
All 4.
That's not very good warning. I'd have to change my social.
Yeah, got
calendar.
emails last week on.
Okay.
Okay.
They're here. That's what I was confused about. What
Yeah,
council?
I think that is. Did all councillors get invites to the water meetings? Okay, just the ones relevant to wards. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Mark, I'll let you do your report before I hit you with questions. So.
Thank you, Wish. It's actually, there's not a lot to sort of say after Councillor Kloss's questions. I just was going to highlight the Kahoraka matter. And the other thing is that we are just still making steady progress. And I think in the next month, I hope to be delivering a little bit more of some more completed work rather than pending work. So it's probably better if I just take any questions rather than read through every project. But we're still in a good position, I feel, at this stage.
Just on that then, Mark, with the Te Hiraoa one as part of the stimulus project, with the delay in receiving goods, is that going to have any impact on that project at all or not?
The stimulus fund is only funding pipe. So if the pipe arrives on time, that will complete that part of the project, and the other part of the project will carry on as part of the LTP.
So we're hanging. So okay, let me get my head around that. So if the pipe arrives in time, we get the funding, but we've ordered the pipe, and if it doesn't arrive on time, then we have to find budget for that pipe.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Okay, that doesn't sound good, does it?
But I've just spoken to our project manager this morning, and he's assured me that it's still on schedule. So
Okay, thank you.
we're looking at delivery around the 16th of May. So we've still got a few weeks up our sleeve. Okay. No, it's not far from my mind most days.
Yeah, just like you, I share that apprehension around that. If there's already delays, to have actually do come through on time. Okay. Any other questions of Mark, councillors?
I just got one. With it, there's quite a lot of things there that due to be completed very soon. Is that realistic in today's job environment? Like, we've got enough workers to actually do the jobs?
I suppose the best way as we look at it is we're going to have projects that will bridge the financial year. And we've always sort of taken an approach that this is a 3-year program. So we will have projects that will not quite be completed by 30th of June and roll into the next financial year. But realistically, some of the projects are so large, it takes you almost 12 months to get it off the ground, to get to construction. So you sort of got to keep it as that, looking at it from that sort of a bigger picture. So some of the smaller projects will come in on time, but some of them will drift into next financial year. That's not uncommon. So, but our goal is always to try and finish complete by the 30th of June.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson.
Please, Mark, just with regard to the Waipa Rural Water Supply meeting next week, will you be able to supply a fair amount of detail with the progress on the additional storage and the water meter installation? I mean, as a group, they'll want to see more than what's here. That's all. Yeah.
Yep. So we'll Jared's put together the report, which I'm just reviewing at the moment. We haven't completed the design yet, but by next week I should be able to bring a pretty good concept of what we're doing. We know exactly where the reservoirs are going. We have had delays on the water meters, which we were hoping to have installed by now. But, I'll bring all that detail along.
Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just generally, like, I'm a bit concerned that we have to sit at the table and cross our fingers and hope that things go okay. Like, if the funding was there, allocated, I mean, okay, they have to put an end date in it, but everyone's affected by what's happening globally and, you know, nationally. Is there any feel amongst, like, you with your cohorts or, you know, CE forums or Merrill, that actually they're going to make some allowances for things going wrong, or are they all just going to cut us off at the knees on the 30th of June?
Tanya.
Through you, Your Worship. So I put an email out over the CE listserv a couple of weeks ago to ask whether any councils were in the same predicament as us. There was only one that was. We've spread ourselves pretty thinly. We've probably learned a lot out of the approach that we've taken to this funding package. Having said that, we're committed. What I would say is that if the pipe hasn't turned up when it's supposed to, mid-May, we'll be on the phone to our relationship manager at CIP immediately to signal that and to, you know, give us that 6-week kind of discussion around. I can't see that they would withhold the funding from us that close to procuring materials. It was more, their reluctance was more around a whole project getting off the ground that they didn't feel that they could extend the deadline for. So I'm fairly confident that they will want, you know, this to proceed. But Mark and I will be keeping an eye on that time frame, and if it looks like it's going over, then we'll be talking to John Mackey. Yeah.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah, it's unfortunate with the water scheme meetings coming up. I've seen the dates and I can't make any of them, which is really unfortunate. So I'll get some notes together for what I'm doing with the technical working group, which is just really unfortunate. Yeah, can't be in two places at once. Any further questions, councillors? If not, thank you both, Brendan, and thanks, Mark. We've got staff recommendations that Ōtorohanga District Council received the report titled Financial and Capital Projects Report for the month ending 28th February 2022. It's not meant to be February. What month was that, Brendan? Thank you. From Brendan and Mark. I'd like to move that. Second, Councillor Kloss. All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to the Building Control Activity Report for January through March. Here comes Who's doing that? Is Andrew doing that? Phil doing that?
Phil's on his way.
Phil's coming through the door. Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, Phil. Welcome. Cheers.
Take the report as read. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Phil.
Beat you to the punch. don't
Awesome. That was great. No questions. Moving on. No. You did mention in there the big drop off in consent applications, and you were just indicating that it was the time of the year more than anything. Is there any further elaboration on that?
I? Sure. I think there's a number of factors at work, and really we had a pretty slow start to the year. There was a fairly long lead in from a lot of people taking an extended break in the industry. It was pretty obvious, and I guess the other thing we are seeing the downside of COVID and how it's affecting the industry. So there is a shortage in building supplies, which is affecting the supply chain. It's taking a long time to build a building, and it's very, very difficult to get materials to build a building at the moment. So that's affecting the length of time that construction takes, and inadvertently causing a slowdown as well. And there's also a shortage of skilled labour. I mean, this is all, I think, COVID related. That effect is starting to take hold. Whether that gets any worse or not, we don't know.
So, Phil, part of the issues with this supply chain has been the accessing GIB across the country. And Fletcher's obviously made some comment recently how they're going to try and address that. Across the building industry, are we looking at alternatives that can speed up their process, or we're just going to be hamstrung by accessing GIB?
I know that GIB have done, they've put on extra staff and producing a lot more than they've ever produced before. And I think they've actually updated part of their plant, or we're updating part of the plant as well. But they're not the only supplier of GIB. I mean, we can import from overseas, and I think a lot of that's happening as well. There's also another player in New Zealand who supplied material. But yeah, it's sort of builders take what they can get at the moment, pretty much.
Thank you. Councillor Kloss.
I'd just like to ask about timeframes for inspection assessments. What is the timeframes that you're operating under?
The turnaround for inspections is reasonably quick, really. I mean, we don't leave people waiting much more than a couple of days, 3 days at the most.
That's amazing.
Well, I mean, we just have that ability, I guess, to do that because we don't have that many building consents, so we're not dealing with as many inspections as other organisations are. But in saying that, I mean, it's still a thing that you try and improve on all the time.
Yeah, Phil, can I just also applaud you and the team for the standard of qualifications you guys have now, and the fact that I suppose my bit of pride in there was that you're now supporting a neighbouring council to obviously process consents as well. So yeah, really, really cool. If you just pass the thanks on to the appreciation onto the guys.
So the team really appreciates that. So and it is good. It's really good to be in that position for a small council. I think we're very fortunate that we are. A lot of the larger councils don't have that capacity. So yeah, being able to help the neighbours once in a while is quite good too.
Yeah, awesome. Councillor Jeffries.
Oh, thank you, Worship. Yeah, you just raised a similar point to what I was just going to ask through you, Phil. The assistance that we provide other councils like Waitomo, is that a quid pro quo arrangement, or do we actually use the money change hands for those?
They'll pay us for our time. So it's no different to any other customer, really.
Right. Okay.
But they're building a new stadium down there, and they just don't have the competency levels to do the inspections themselves. Otherwise, they would be doing that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Worship. Just a bit more praise for the team. Phil, we've
got a project at home. We've built a building with another council and it's come into the district. And to my knowledge, it's been a fairly seamless process. And the transporters obviously have booked the inspection time, turned up on time, and everything's gone really well. So thank you for that.
Pleased to hear that.
Any further questions, councillors? Okay, if not, we have staff recommendation that Ōtorohanga District Council received a report titled Building Control Activity Report for January to March 2022 from Phil Saunders, the Building Control Manager. Do I move for a seconder? Moved Councillor Johnson, second Councillor Dow. All in favour? Aye. Look, thanks again, Phil. Yeah, and pass on the words to the team. Appreciate it. Right, moving on to item 247, the District Library Report. Heather, welcome.
Whatever councils, your worship. Library report, always fun part of your agenda. I'd like to start off with something really positive, which you will have seen in my report, which is that Fiona Cowan completed her library and information studies diploma level 5. Really proud of the work she's put in there, and really want to commend her on her dedication. It's taken her a little bit longer than she'd hoped, mainly due to open polytech issues. But it takes a special bit of commitment to be working full time and studying as well. Our library program these holidays, because we were going into the situation not knowing where we would be as far as COVID framework traffic lights. What we did was we actually put together holiday packs for the kids, and they've been really popular so far. So we've been able to get those out both here at Ōtorohanga and also at a Kawhia library as well. The RFID, so the radio frequency identification project's all completed now, so everything's been tagged, and at the same time we've completed the inventory, and you'll see there in my report that we've got 134 books missing at the time of inventory. Some of those won't actually be missing. They've just been missed in the inventory, so we're doing a bit of a search for those at the moment, but not a bad amount to have lost. Probably the most interesting thing was the amount of deselected stock we found back on the shelves that wasn't in the catalogue. So we're able to tidy all that up. For those of you who made it to our lovely reopening, will have seen what the library looks like now with our lovely new shelving in there. And again, anecdotally, we've had some really good feedback about what that's looking like, and we're looking forward to getting back into programming now that we're in Orange, and we'll be able to put that mobile shelving into practice as well. And the same with our STEM programs. They're actually ready to go. So we've just been waiting on Orange. And Orange is now here. So start of term 2, we'll actually be kicking those off, looking at starting with running them twice weekly after school. And if they prove to be really popular, we've got 3 other days of the week we can fill the spaces. So that's kind of where we're at with the library. Very short and sweet this time.
Awesome. Thanks, Heather. And thanks for the invitation to attend that opening and having a piece of cake. Really good. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Marion, our staff member, made the cake and it was absolutely outstanding. Yeah, look, I need to get some back in there in the library again. I've actually spent a bit of time looking through some of those books, which I tend not to do. But yeah, so thank you again for your report. Councillor Jeffries.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Heather, yes, you're quite right. It is an interesting report every month. We get it from you. It makes good reading, so congratulations on that. Just a couple of quick questions. 3.6, they talk about those holiday packs and so on. How is that going to be advertised so people are aware of?
So we put it mainly out on Facebook. It went out to the schools to go into their school newsletters. Right,
okay, so going directly to schools, that's great. Just a quick question then, how many books do we actually have in stock? You talk about 134 missing, but how many did we actually have?
Off the top of my head, I'm going to say about, oh golly, I know I'm going to get this wrong. I'm going to say about 16,000.
Oh, okay.
Oh, look, I was well out. 23, 24.
Yeah. So 134 out of that's not a bad sort of a loss rate, is it really?
It's not bad at all. And some of those may well have been deselected, but not properly deselected.
Yeah. And just one of your graphs I found quite interesting there, the Wi-Fi out at Carfi, how that's gone up so much compared to Ōtorohanga. So yeah, that's interesting. You quite often see people hovering around the library cenotaph there with their devices. So it's good to see that it's being used.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
far better used even than Ōtorohanga.
Yeah.
It's great
Yeah.
to see.
Is there a what is the cost of that? Is there a cost? Obviously, a cost to that, but
It's a couple of thousand a year. It's based on per population.
is it okay? So
Yeah,
not necessarily usage, but just
Yeah, so the bulk of it is paid for by your taxpayer dollars.
yes.
Good use of your taxpayer dollars. And we do pay a year. It's only a couple of grand from memory. I'm looking
Okay.
sideways at
Oh no, well
the
that's
finance manager's nodding. I've got that figured right.
no, that's good value. No, so thank you for that. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Jeffries. Any further questions, councillors? Again, Heather, thank you for a wonderful report. Good you seeing back here. Love seeing the enthusiasm as well.
Great to be back in person.
Cheers, Hank. So do I have a move on a second that the librarian's report be received? Move Councillor Williams, second Councillor Ferguson, all in favour? Carried. Moving on to item 248, the Ōtorohanga Town Concept Plan Project Update. Welcome, Ross. And Nadia.
Morena, Your Worship, Morena councillors. You have the report there, but what I'd like to do is just highlight a couple of key points and invite some feedback on some elements if you have questions. So firstly, we've had what I think is a very successful first round of engagement. So predominantly targeting key stakeholder groups and obviously yourselves and board members as elected members. So I just want to feedback some positive feedback, I guess, that we've received early on in the process, and that is from a number of members of community organisations that we brought together in this early engagement phase who were very appreciative of two things. Firstly, that you as the council and the board were advancing this project for Ōtorohanga, and secondly, that organisations had the opportunity to be part of that, and they were very much looking forward to carrying on that. Which then leads, I guess, to the next point, and that is a more extensive round or phase of engagement that we're kicking off from the 4th of May, running through to Saturday, the 7th of May. So two elements to this. One is follow-up sessions for those groups we've already been engaging with. And then second, a more extensive round of engagement, including with the general community. So we have two public sessions set aside, and then a round of new engagements for groups we haven't yet connected with. And I note Writing for Disabled were here earlier, and they are part of a group to be invited to a session along with other sport and recreation groups in the community. One of the things we've set up, and thanks to Nadia and Karen and others, is a very strong online presence. We know that some people in our community won't necessarily be able to make these sessions. So through the online environment, there is a questionnaire there. So the very same information we want to get from people who turn up to these sessions, there's an opportunity for anyone now to go online and complete that questionnaire. So we're trying as best we can to get to everyone in the community, and we're mindful that not everyone necessarily has the time to come in, or indeed at their home access to the internet. So the survey can still be completed if folks want to come into the library, for example. So we think we've got things reasonably well covered. On the promotion side, a flyer or information sheet's been circulated around the community and to businesses. So that has the key dates for those drop-in sessions, including a session for local businesses. I've mentioned the website, and then also this week there's an article coming in the King Country News just to provide a bit more background and information around the project, why we're undertaking the project. So again, we're spreading the news as far and as wide as we can. And then, Your Worship, the last point is really the last paragraph in the report, and that is your role as elected members as well as the board. So I'd appreciate some feedback on this. So what I'm suggesting, and to be fair, I haven't spoken in detail with the board, and that's to be considered at their next meeting. But we are going to get a lot of feedback. Being positive, we're going to get a hell of a lot of feedback through this process. And it'd be useful, I think, if you as council elected members come together with the board members to consider that. It presents, I think, an important point to the community that you are working together on this important project. And I'll be honest, there's an efficiency in you and the board members coming together as well to consider this feedback once. And you'll see in that section of the report, I'm suggesting that happens again later on in the process when we've got the draft town concept plan out for, I guess, more formal feedback. And again, we'll have feedback from the community submissions, and again, suggesting that you come together with the board in one session to be able to consider that. Look, I've said enough, Your Worship. Maybe Nadia has something that she wants to add. If that's cool, if she doesn't.
Look, thanks, Ross. Yeah, just keep on to us about the dates, and I'll keep on pushing for the attendance, everyone. Unfortunately, I think it was the 4th is the next. So the 4th is on the Village Green. Am I right, or am I just making stuff up now?
That's the 7th of May, Saturday.
Saturday, sorry, which I'll just apologise to Mark for not being able to attend something else, and I won't be able to be at that one either, unfortunately. So, but yeah, we'll keep the pressure on councillors. Sorry, Tanya.
No, through you, Worship. So are they in the diaries, those meetings, or no?
Probably not yet. I did flick out an email, but that's.
I just think, yeah, because I haven't made that translation into my own diary, so I just wonder whether it would be useful then it's in there and we don't have to fish through emails. If someone could organise that, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fair call. Thank you, Councillor Williams.
Through your worship, the Waikato Federated Farmers Provincial is ahead of you, and I've just received an invitation. So they've sent out a provincial advisory about the Ōtorohanga town concept plan without the Metcon. For the business breakfast, the public session on Friday, and for the public session on Saturday. So good liaison.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the pleasing thing, Ross, as you mentioned it the other night, as well as the positive feedback from the community that for the first time ever, they probably feel like they're engaged in something which is happening, which is really, really cool. And just gives us a clear direction of where we need to be heading in the future as well. And I think once we've got people on board, then it's way easier to keep them on board as well. Councillor Kloss.
I have spoken to Ross about this before, but the separation of the town concept and the rural concept are quite separate, and there doesn't seem to be any opportunity for the rural people to be able to contribute to the town one. And I think that is an absolute mistake. People don't like surprises, and they will hear about it and read about it in the paper, and they won't really know what is going on. And yet there is such a divide between the rural people and the town people. This would have been a wonderful opportunity to try and bring them together. I personally feel that we don't have a right to actually made to feel as though we don't have a right to make some recommendations about the town, which people use. And if we don't use them, it's because it doesn't meet our needs. And so keeping it separated is, I think, is an absolute mistake. And you're saying they're going out to the public. Does that include the rural people? Will you be happy if a whole group of Arahina people came to it and took the floor? That's the thing. I think it is.
Sorry, I think we can just refer back to what Councillor Williams is talking about, the acknowledgement from Federated Farmers. They've been engaged and they'll be turning up and participating. So there is obviously reaching out to the rural community as one aspect, and I'm sure there's other opportunities as well.
Well,
But
there hasn't been. I do get mail and I do get the school newsletter and all those sort of things. They don't know about it.
Ross, do I hand back to you on this one?
Can I just make a quick comment? Mahihi district area knows about it. It's been shared a few times on their page. So yeah, I think we're all Mahihi. Just they know about it. So it's just about sharing it and getting the word out because everyone's invited. It's our town.
Is it made to feel it's the rule, it's not our town?
Sorry, I don't even have an answer to that. Sorry, Councillor Cross. Ross.
Yes, Your Worship. So we're trying every avenue we can to connect right across the district. So while the focus is on the urban area of our district, we're not excluding, and we do not want to exclude, and we do not want to give the impression of excluding anyone, whether they're members of our district community or beyond. So there are people who connect with this community through family, through they may have property here by whatever means, or an interest, and they're more than welcome to participate in the process. And we would encourage, if there are members of the Arahina community and they turn up en masse on either the Friday or the Saturday public session, we'll greet them with open arms, and their views and thoughts and aspirations for the town area will be just as welcome as anyone else's.
And how will they know about it?
Well, I'd suggest, councillors, that you're all connected into your communities. If there are particular people that we should be linking in with who can then communicate, as Councillor Christensen has indicated.
Tell them about it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, it's our responsibility to share that with our districts, as elected members.
Through you, Your Worship. Yeah, this is a team effort, and while I appreciate that we have paid staff who are leading and managing this project, I would hope that we see the benefits of us all spreading the word as widely as we can. So if you need any help to do that, like if you need a flyer attachment sent to you or anything like that, then that you can forward on through your networks, let us know. A link to the web pages, anything like that. I don't know, a bunch of hard copies printed off and delivered to the school. I'm sure we have a building inspector that would be heading out that we could, or water, one of our water operators who we could give them a bunch of flyers and say, drop this at a school or a hall or somewhere out in the community. We're happy to do whatever. Please just make those suggestions to us.
Thanks, Tanya. And everything's still absolutely on time, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Love that.
Not waiting for any pipe.
That's right. Awesome. Thanks, Ross. Thanks for your time. Really looking forward to the next stages. Nothing further to add, anyone? Awesome. So we have the staff recommendation that the Ōtorohanga District Council receive the report titled Ōtorohanga Town Concept Plan Project Update. I'd like to move that. Secondly, Councillor Jeffries. All in favour? Carried. Thanks, Ross. Moving on to item 249, 6-month report from Ōtorohanga District Development Board. That is receiving the guest from our waiting room.
Kia ora again, councillors. Thank you, me back to you. So we do have in the waiting room Cara and Al. I don't have anything else to add to my report, but happy to take questions before I invite them in.
Any questions, councillors? You may invite them in. Welcome, Cara. Welcome, Al. Looking forward to the 6-monthly report. It's over to you.
Thank you, everybody. So I'd just like to put in, thank you all for having us today. So I'm Cara Thomas, the new chair of the Ōtorohanga District Development Board, and I've got with me Al today from the hub. We just have apologies from Duncan and Michelle, who both couldn't make it for school holidays and first. So thank you very much for having us. So we'd just like to present our report today. I think this has been tabled with your in your minutes. And so, yeah, so just some key things from us is, we'd like to thank the council for their ongoing support of the District Development Board. It's definitely been for all businesses and such a really challenging 12 months over due to COVID. And we seem to all be coming out the other side and the main streets, looking busy, which means well for our district. So during this period from July to December, it allowed us through the time of COVID to look at some of our processes and ensure they were met for the needs of our community, such things as our board charter, reviewing our health and safety policies so they were unified across our different divisions of the business, looking at things such as our board matrix, the sustainability of the ODDB, and continuing our normal activities, supporting business, growing our connections, and looking at some really key projects. So in terms of economic development, something that you'll all be aware of is the Retail Revitalization Plan. So that is progressing really well, and we're in our stages of just waiting for Rosine to come back for some colour ideas and look developments for us to all look at, and we'll present that to you guys once it's available. The Cycleways Project remains on the table. It has very slow progress. Duncan has presented to you in the past about that block of land. Now that was kind of put on hold a little bit, but we have had a call from the real estate over the weekend that the value of that land is now back in what we all expected it would be. And so that's pretty exciting. So what Duncan would like to propose and the ODDB is, again, discussing with the council today around the appetite for us to look at continuing with that project. We're expecting that land to be around the 500k mark. And the real estate agents are expecting offers on that land this week. So that would be something for us to look into some stage. Again, our business support, through both contacting businesses through the COVID times, providing different activities, networking events, speakers continues, along with, and this really leads well into our work with the hub as well, providing that business support. But I suppose, COVID's been what it has, and it has held up some projects such as our Vision Ōtorohanga. But that's on the table to come to fruition in the near future, going to plan. Now we're in our orange settings. So I don't really want to talk to the whole paper, but I'm happy to take questions and provide you with some more updates as we go through this today.
Yeah, thanks, Cara. I actually don't have any questions at this stage. I'm interested to see where we go in further discussions with that land on Ōtorohanga Valley Road. Yeah, I think you're probably starting to feel some of our frustration as council and some of your business connections you're trying to endeavour and trying to achieve over with the ODDB. Yeah, it can be frustrating at times. Somewhat. Any questions, councillors? Yes, Councillor Jeffries.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor Johnson.
Thank you for a very comprehensive report, a very interesting read. Thank you. just a couple of quick comments actually. Under the district promotions videos, you might like to know, or add to your list there that John Thompson and I have been interviewing some locals, and you can add Patsy Scott, Tom Moakey and Jack Cunningham to your list. And have you got any more money?
Question of the day.
Question of the day. Yes, no, we've been using Timo, as you're probably aware, but he's obviously got some constraints on him. But there's probably another couple in the community that we'd really like to have a go at. So if there's any possibility of getting some further funding to assist with that, it would be much appreciated. Yep. And the only other question I had was, was to actually compliment Ellie on your success with your job there. Ellie, you're doing a great job, and 55 people in employment is a great result. So compliments to you on that. So that was all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, thank you for a great report, and glad to see the effort you're going to and providing economic development for our council. So thank you. Just a question regarding the eyesight review. Can you just explain about the two-tier operational model, just a bit more detail around that? And I see opted for the second one, and what was the basis for opting for that second tier?
I may not be able to answer all your questions on that, Councillor Johnson, but I will do my best. We have a team been looking at that have been involved in the eyesight a lot longer than my involvement with the board. But there has been a very long eyesight review undertaken by their organisation, and they have come out with had multiple delays due to COVID over the last 2 years to get to this point. So tier 1 and tier 2, we can have an opportunity as the climate changes to move between them. Let's just check. So tier 1 looks like, looking at through the people that have been involved, it is not many eyesights. 13 to 15 of the current ones will continue, and they seem to be the bigger self-sustained eyesights, and we don't feel that we meet that need at the moment. And so this allows us to still access branding and some benefits, but and develop our eyesight model to see what meets the need of our own communities. Gives us a lot more flexibility, but we have an ability to relook at it regularly and opt back on if we feel the need.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cara. Any further questions, councillors?
I just got one
Councillor
more.
Dow, sorry.
I've got one more that probably Max might be able to answer better anyway. The Mayor's Task Force for Jobs funding, is there anything on now? Well, how long's the piece of string?
Okay. How do I say this? Prime Minister loves the program. MSD loves the program. The indication is there is future funding in the next fiscal year. My understanding is it will probably be reduced from what it has been historically. In saying that, I can deal with the reduced amount. It just depends on how much it's reduced. That's the issue. So if we're talking across all councils about $14 million at the moment, if that was reduced to say 10 million as an example, I think that's palatable. I can deal with that. If we reduced more than that, we'd find real problems for a sustainable continuum of the program. We haven't got that information officially. At this stage, MSD is not giving, they should be giving an announcement this month. But look, I have confidence. I don't think the government can afford to drop this program now. That's just my take on it, because you'll have a lot of very upset people around New Zealand who'll be quite vocal about the future of it and what the outcomes will be. Fingers crossed.
I can just make a comment, and I think that's one of our risks as the ODDB is we just think this program is invaluable, and we're looking at options to ensure that this program is sustainable no matter what the funding stream is. So looking at alternatives if we get to that point. So we're really committed to making sure this stays in our community.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. I think that's a big part of it. I mean, what I'm really enjoying over the last couple of years is the change direction of ODDB and the forward-thinking direction you're taking. And we've always got to be acutely aware with this contestable funding that we're not exposed. And I suppose part of my job is to ensure that the contestable funding is not just for 1 year, it could be for 2, 3, 5 years, whatever it may be. So I suppose that's my job. Your job with ODDB is to ensure that we're still got a program that's there in the future and delivering what it has been up until now. Because I mean, it still blows me away. We've got one of the lowest unemployment figures on record, but we're still finding jobs for our rangatahi in our district, like you won't believe. Yeah.
I can stand to that. The report last year was 55 into employment, and now we're from July 1st, 2021 doubled. We met our target before December, and now we're at 103. And the rate that we're tracking, by the time the program has been 19 months on the 30th of June, we believe that we will have reached 200 employment outcomes during the period.
Oh, that's a great result. Congratulations. How many of those are permanents? Like, you know, they're in full time?
All of them.
All of them?
Permanent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We're not able to count part-time.
Oh, okay. Yep. Great. Oh, well done. Thank you.
I think that the beauty of the flexibility of the funding model is councils that haven't achieved the outcomes that they've been expecting, their funding can be redirected to councils or to employment hubs such as with the old to ensure better outcomes for ourselves. Part of my inability to attend a couple of meetings over the next couple of weeks is going to those councils that haven't been performing and getting an understanding why, but usually the case is it's about people that are actually leading the employment hubs. And yeah, if you don't have the right people in the right places, you're not going to get the outcomes you're after. So yeah, it's just finding what their issues are and trying to help those smaller councils that aren't succeeding at the moment. Anything further you want to add to that, Al?
As an update or not? It's one of the things that has made this program so successful is that it's by locals for locals, and the employers that we have in this town, and I think I mentioned this in my last 6-month report, it's the employers that we have in this town that have made that successful, and also the fact that we're just open door, anybody can come through. So a lot of people within the district have put their faith in us, and I think we're taking care of people and also those looking for work and for those employers, and it's paid off. It's a really lovely working relationship.
Anything further you want to add at all, Cara?
I don't think so. It's just, been, great to see from an ODD perspective how much our, group has contributing and grown in the last couple of years. And just, we really have some great projects in line, and just want to keep continuing this, and we thank the councillors and the council for the easy working relationships that we have. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I think certainly having Nadia on board now has been very helpful for us as well in ensuring that we've got that connection, because if we don't have that connection of that open, respectful relationship between ODDB and council, then we're going to get nowhere. So, and in terms of the employment hub or the community recovery programs, Nadia's experience in the Rangatiki district is huge as well. So yes, it's good to see all of those synergies across both council and ODDB. So thank you very much for the 6-month report, Councillor Jeffries.
I just one quick one, Your Worship. I note that Bob Strawbridge and Derek Wester are retiring, so perhaps it's appropriate just to record our thanks for the work that they've done through the District Development Board on everyone's behalf, I guess. But you've lost 2 very valuable members, I would suggest, so they'll be hard to replace.
Thank you. I'll pass it on to both of them. And now we're kind of coming out the COVID side. We'll looking at having a little something for them, so we'd like you all to attend as well. But it's definitely been very significant members of our board. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you to you both. Yes. And we'll see you later.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have the recommendation in front of us, councillors, that received the report, the 6-month report from the Ōtorohanga District Development Board, and received the Ōtorohanga District Development Board 6-month report, which is the same thing. From Nadia, sorry, to start with, and then from the 6-month report to Ōtorohanga District Council dated 1 July to 31st December 2021. Moved Councillor Jeffrey, seconded Councillor Dow. All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Where are we at now? Councillor update. Councillor Johnson.
Not much to report. I did do another District Licensing Committee hearing for Waipa District Council, which is it's always good to get a few more runs on the board in terms of experience. So that was good. You just want to acknowledge Max came and visited me while I was under light duties. So thank you for that, Max. Appreciated that visit. That's me.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Dow.
I went to the Dawn Parade yesterday morning. It's quite a good turnout, I thought. Yeah, so it was really nice. Otherwise, I've been a household contact, so I had to stay at home for a week. Then I got COVID, so I had to stay home for another week. And then I was allowed out, but then I just couldn't. I was that tired. So I slept for another bloody few days. So, so I haven't had a beer for a couple of weeks. Anyway. So that's how sick I've been. So anyway, yeah, so I haven't done too much. So yeah, but I'm away now.
So it's got to be the litmus test, eh? Awesome. Councillor Christensen.
Nothing from me.
Thank you. Councillor Kloss.
I've been doing some tiki touring around the district. And it's quite good to do, actually, just go around and note things that I had assumed that would be there, but they weren't. And the first one I'm going to talk about is lack of signage about the Ōtorohanga district. I did the tour from Te Awamutu, the back way through to Ōtorohanga. And even when I hit the town, I didn't see a sign for Ōtorohanga. Now, some of councillors go through that way all the time. And I actually think it's quite important to know where we are and for other people to know where they are. And so...
They're coming on State Highway 31.
Yes, well, it's not a way that I go very often, but doing a tiki tour, we actually went the back way from Te Awamutu. Not.
So Orofero Road, Pokerud Road, Orofero Road?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
The way I come in each time.
The what?
There's when you come into the town boundary, there's one about 3k north of Te Kawa West Crossroads, where the town boundary is. So go past Pokerud School and about another 2k's on the left-hand side, there's the big billboard.
When you come into the town itself.
Into town itself. Okay.
Because I was asked, what town is this?
Yeah, very cool.
So that jumped out for me, and because I know when I went to Arahina, you didn't actually know where boundaries were, and the CEO of the time arranged for signage on Seafund Road, and where we cross over between Arahina and Waipa. And so I think people, even local, should know all those sort of things. For me, it's actually important. And also the naming on bridges that I have mentioned in the past before. And one bridge was put there just to pacify me. And I'm not seeing signage on bridges. And I think it just all adds to knowing the district, where your rivers are and things like that. So I hope that might come to fruition at some stage. I'm sure the cost isn't the main thing. The other thing is Ōtorohanga are having some trouble with their recycling because they are using a school shed that is on their asset list, and it has to have a new roof. And so the principal came to me and asked, because they don't need the shed, they actually would be quite happy for the shed to be pulled down, but that will impact on Ōtorohanga's recycling program out there. The thing is, I think some of the people who were avid recyclers have moved from the district, and so I don't know if there are as many champions out there for that. But perhaps I can talk to one of the staff who will have oversight over that.
Mark,
Is that Mark?
over to you, Mark.
Yes,
No, no.
Well,
I just, no, we can do it later. I think you've had contact with Mark or just with us?
no, I haven't, because I had other things on happening. And but I would like to be very disappointed to see that if the shed goes, that just because we can't get a new roof. They got quotes for 20,000, but as the principal said, every time she mentioned the Ōtorohanga school, the price went up, sort of thing. So, whereas at one time, the district would have got to it, fix the roof, but you're not allowed to do anything there. So that's difficult. So that needs to be resolved to actually try and keep that going. I'm going past the Korokanui school. I've noticed they are now using their bus shed again for its purpose, and they've just got a wire cage that seems to be fulfilling the purpose. So whether, but that does need to happen. The other thing is about celebrating Ōtorohanga district people who are making quite a name for themselves, and yet we don't seem to. I know you've got the wall out there, and they're all mainly old people, but two people, well, it's a group of people who I think you should be waving a flag about, is the Ōtorohanga College students who initiated the treaty activity. They are being mentioned so much in the media as the Ōtorohanga College pupils, but I think that the Ōtorohanga Council needs to be putting them on a pedestal. And the other one is we do have a world champion in, I think is a dirt bike riding in the Ōtorohanga district, who is making a name for herself in America. And I think there's again someone else who we should be promoting as a success story. And I'm sure you have others that, but I think we're not very good at blowing our own trumpet. And I would like to see us doing more of that. So it just brings more attention to the area. And probably that is something that's been on my mind, and as time is running out for me, I'm just making a push to get these things happening. All right.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Ferguson. Do I turn on your mic, Councillor?
Yeah, it's been reasonably quiet. Yes, I've had my time off on COVID as well. So, yeah, been there, done that. So, Dave was saying this morning that he said people have had it 3 times. I was sort of sitting pretty thinking I've had it now, right, for 3 months, is it? But yeah, we had reasonable turnout and a good turnout for the Dawn Parade and Pacific Parade yesterday, which were a big part of the RSA I'm proud of. But like we were low on numbers with serving members because of COVID. But yeah, no, good day. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jeffries.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yes, 25th of March was the Carfield Community Board meeting. We had our risk and assurance workshop and meeting on the 31st of March. The class as well. On the 6th of April, there was a Zoom meeting re the Aotea horse problem that we've been experiencing out that way. I understand that community board member Hinga Few has arranged for one of the owners of those horses to come to the community board meeting on Friday to speak to the board about that. So hopefully there may be some resolution around that. That's been an ongoing problem for months. 7th of April, I took part in the Zoom meeting that was actually presented by FENZ, which is Fire and Emergency New Zealand, re-climate change, and I found that fascinating presentation. I've got that PowerPoint presentation available if anyone's interested in seeing that. I can shoot it through. 8th of April was the extraordinary meeting here, ODC. 12th of April, went to the Carfield Kai Festival Committee meeting. And yes, the Kai Festival is on again for next year, and planning is underway already for that. So we're very excited, and they have made an approach to Inframax to assist with the traffic control, those sorts of things that have to happen. Yep. And they've had a very favourable response, as I understand, from that source. So that's great news. On the 12th of April that evening, there was a Waikato Regional Coastal Plan review. That was a Zoom meeting. And again, that was very, very interesting. Angus spoke very well. And again, there's a presentation available. I have that if anyone is interested in seeing that. I can flick it through to you. 18th of April, we had the Aotea Ratepayers Association meeting at Aotea, and the big issue there obviously was the seawall, and a lot of discussion on that. Jeff Good, community board member, had received some information from Brendan. Much appreciated, Brendan, for all that stuff that you did there for Jeff. The community's out there is pretty aware of what's needed, and pretty philosophical about what has to happen, I think. Yesterday, yes, obviously the Anzac Day parade in Carfield. Thanks for coming out, Max. It was good to see you out there. And considering it was pouring with rain at 6 o'clock in the morning, to have a day like we had at 1 o'clock was just amazing. But it was a great parade, and one of our local identities, Bob Blackwood, commented that in his view, it was one of the biggest parades he's seen for a long, long time. So it was very well supported, and there was refreshment served at the sports club afterwards, which you probably would have enjoyed, Rodney. And then there was at 5:30 there was a sunset service at Aotea, which is something they've just started in recent times. And there was probably about 40 or 50 people at that, and they've got crosses with people's names on them, past personnel, service personnel, and this year they're encouraging people to actually include photographs of those people, so they're trying to get that going again for next year. So that was a lovely service. It was all over in about 20 minutes. The only other things that I had to raise, Your Worship, was I've made contact with Waka Katahi, and they put me onto Fulton Hogan. It was really just about the litter on State Highway 31, and trying to get something done about that. It just seems to be getting worse. I couldn't help but notice on the way in today on State Highway 39 that that's probably not that flash either in parts. If there's any opportunity for our staff to pass the word on to their cohorts in Waka Katahi, that would be useful, just to say that it would be nice to have those things looked at periodically. It doesn't look too good on our clean green image. And the other one was, I'm just trying to find out whether there's any plans to have charging stations in the district, or where they're going to be, and whether there's one planned for Carfield. So I don't know if anyone can help with that, but I guess that's a regional council initiative again, is it? Or, no. So I'm trying to find out through Wi-Fi networks at the moment whether they've got any plans for something like that. But if you've got any information on those, I'd appreciate it. So that's pretty much it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Williams.
Yes. So since the last meeting, the 22nd of March, tried to attend a Zoom meeting with Minister Kitty Allen on the trifecta and proposed changes. I ended up driving up to another computer at the end of the road that was better connected than me. 31st of March was a risk and assurance meeting. And then the next day we worship at the Waipa co-governance committee meeting. And then town joined the town plan workshop on the 7th of April, and obviously an extraordinary meeting on the 8th of April, and the dawn parade yesterday in the mist.
So there's two councillors I didn't see in the mist yesterday morning. At the dawn, yeah. Oh wow. Okay. Sorry, guys. And that's it, councillor. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Nothing further at this stage. Therefore, I will declare the meeting closed. What's next, Tanya?
Oh, a fun-filled, exciting program. Are we off air, Brendan? Oh. Oh, never mind.